Hello, my friend, and welcome. This is the Back to Me podcast, and I am Heather, and I am super excited that you are here. And I just want to let you know that you're going to hear some tips and some tricks, some ideas, all to help you live your happiest and healthiest life. It is called Back to Me because when you are taking care of yourself, then you can take better care of others. And my goal is to make the world a better place. This is Wellness Your Way. I am really happy that you're here. Your true self is waiting. So it is time to step up and thrive. Hello, my friend. Welcome. This is Heather. This is the Back to Me podcast. Anna, I forgot to ask you how to say your last name.
It's okay. It's VanAgtmael, but it's a mess.
Yeah, I never would have guessed that. And while the intro was playing, my mind just went, oh my God, Heather, I know what to call this episode. Let's call it Retreat to Rise.
Ooh, I love that.
Right?
Yes.
Anna, welcome. You're so fabulous
Thank you.
to meet you. And friends, Anna, if you're listening to the audios, she's the founder of Wandering Roots, which is kind of cool sounding. Kind of groovy. But I know that that's not where you started in life. And I'm always super curious to hear the story of how you went from I'm not happy in this position to the Yahoo! I get to travel for work now.
Yes. So I'll give you Cliff's Notes. It's a long story. I was a very practical kid, and I just was following the steps of, going to college, getting a career, climbing the ladder, staying in it till you're 65, and hopefully not dying a slow, painful death of boredom. Right. And so a couple of things happened. I worked for a lot of startups. And I worked in a molecular diagnostics lab for 13 years, 3 different stints within that time frame. And the last one, I'm just very used to risk. Like, there were no guarantees that our company wasn't going to get bought out or it wasn't going to shut down or whatever. So I just pretty risk tolerant from a young age. And secondly, the last stint I did, I got hired actually from a company based out of Toronto. All the execs were up there. Yep. And we're a very close neighbor to the south. So they started the lab in Michigan. And I built the lab. I hired the staff, bought the equipment, the inventory, all of the things. And it planted a seed of like something I never considered, of like running my own business, because it gave me the opportunity to be an entrepreneur with no financial risk, which is usually everyone's biggest hang up. Yeah. Right. And I had to have neck surgery in there. I was in a couple bad car accidents as a kid, and my cervical spine didn't do so well. So I had to have my 5th vertebrae in my neck removed with the adjoining disc. And I had to be in a neck brace for 4 months. And I was 28. And I first of all, never thought about my own mortality until then, because I was in my 20s. And I thought that was something that happened to old people. And secondly, I just never had paused up until then. I was just, in this like just production's hamster wheel cycle. And I couldn't do anything, couldn't drive, wasn't supposed to do anything, couldn't go to work. And I had a lot of time to sit with my terrifying thoughts about just being not jazzed about my life and thinking, this is it. And I should be jazzed about my life. Like, we should be joyful and like excited to be a part of it. So I just started doing things that terrified me. I started yoga because I was really living with some chronic pain post-surgery. And I took yoga teacher training, sort of met other kind of people that were searching for more, and then created a community around that. And then I literally tried to quit my job. I was going to take a path in a sales role. I thought that I wasn't thinking big enough, honestly. I was just thinking, okay, I'll make a change. It'll challenge me. And really, I just like to be challenged. But really, I was like completely falling out of love with the entire field. So anyways, when I tried to quit, my company gave me a lot of money to stay. And I went to my husband and I said, I think you should start your own landscape business, because I was still being a coward and not super sure what I wanted to do. And it took a lot. It probably took half a year convincing, but he finally did it. And then once I did all the things that we had never figured out, like build a website, social media, things like that. And I just thought I might as well try hosting a retreat. When I was at yoga
Why
teacher training,
not?
I had never been in like a space with strangers that were just so like-minded, but also so accepting. Like just seeing you for who you are and not who you're trying to be. And I thought I could create that vibe with my love of travel. I've been traveling quite a bit at that point, and just combine teaching yoga in different locations and sort of create a space similar to that. And I side hustled the brand for 2 years, and then it went full time. And then COVID happened, and I had to cancel all of my retreats, but it's fine. It's just the universe testing me to make sure I was all in, and I was. So,
Are you sure you want to do this?
yes,
Right?
I was like, come on. I mean, first we were rescheduling and like delaying, and then when it was like turning into a thing that nobody really knew when the end was coming, I was like, okay, I'm going to cancel them. This is just getting ridiculous. And the lab that I'd worked for asked if I would come back and start up COVID testing, because they saw a huge market for it. And they asked me twice. And the second time, my husband's like, are you sure? Like, I'm refunding all this money. And I'm like, no, I don't want to go backwards. I'm like sobbing.
Wow. Wow. That was pretty
Yeah.
strong. That was really strong of you. No, I'm not going to do it. Ah. And
Like,
I
I'm
mean,
not
one of the
interested
things
in going backwards.
one of the things I always compare it to is, I mean, jobs, when you're working for someone else, the exchange is your time, which we don't know
Yeah.
how much we have, for dollars. I'm like, how much is my time worth? And I mean, we talk about it all the
Yeah.
time when you're doing entrepreneurial stuff. It's like the time value of money, blah blah blah. My former
Yeah.
CPA self is popping out, but
Yes.
at the same time, nobody ever gets anywhere and goes, "Man, I wish I'd worked more in my life."
No. No.
Darn it! I wish I'd stayed in that job longer. No,
Oh,
well,
no.
I haven't heard anyone say it yet.
I
Some
haven't
people
either.
might, right?
It's the
And
only
it's
non-renewable resource, right? Time.
exactly
So you're exchanging your most precious resource for hopefully
for,
something good.
well, food and shelter. Those are pretty good,
Yeah.
but but if you've got those pretty much figured out, then it's like, what is the extra getting you? Some people, the extra is getting them the feeling of security. But like you said,
Yeah.
nothing is really sure in life. Like
No.
you were living on the edge of it because you were in startups, but at the same time, even companies that aren't startups, there's layoffs happening. Things like COVID
Totally.
happened. Like I was actually, when I left corporate finance, I've been teaching yoga now for 20 years, and I had my own yoga studio, and I was a massage therapist. By the way, you're not allowed to see anybody in person. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
so I can't work. Okay. And I was telling you right before we came on that I guide for Wild Women Expeditions. I was about to get on a plane for Belize to run a retreat for them.
Dang.
And it was like that day, thank goodness I didn't get on the plane, because I would have had to turn around and get home. I would have been very bummed. But I was just getting ready to like book my tickets, and they're like, oh no, stop. Everything's canceled.
Can't do that.
Crap.
Yeah.
Oh crap. I wanted to go to Belize really badly. But
Yep.
what are you going to do? And
I know.
I've discovered recently that no matter what the universe throws at you, like the neck surgery, wow, that's intense. But
Yeah.
you kind of manage it. As a former massage therapist, my brain starts the file of facts of this is all the things that could happen, and this is what's going on. But you find your way through it, right? No matter what's going on.
Yeah, it's something with time and perspective that I'm super grateful for. I was not in the moment at all, but because being humbled at that age like that was it was pretty depressing. But I literally got a wake up call so young and started taking a lot better care of myself, and pursuing a life that I love that I would have probably never even like considered,
Right.
just because of that. So it really, like, I don't even recognize that version of myself anymore. I mean, I know there's parts of me that carried me forward, and I'm very grateful for all of those versions, but I'm almost unrecognizable in some
Right.
capacities.
I think
So
all of those versions are just steps, right? Like
yeah.
I wouldn't have changed the fact that I spent 15 years in corporate finance, because it was a step to give me, it gave me something to step to the next thing, to step to the next thing.
Yeah.
But it is true, like you get wake up calls in different ways. Like sometimes the universe will nudge you, sometimes it'll kick you really hard.
Yes. 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 I always say slaps me, like nudges me, and then if I keep ignoring the nudges, it just slaps me right across the face. Like, come
Yeah,
on,
no,
listen.
I said I got a kick in the ass because I had a stroke in 2021. Even though
Oh,
I had been working all these years in wellness, taking really good care of myself, but it was a kick in the ass saying, Heather, you're, like you said, you're not playing big enough. That's where this podcast came from, actually. It's like, let's go, honey. And
yeah.
this is perfect because I always tell people they gave me a 3-day silent retreat that I didn't ask for, because I
Yeah.
was in the
Yes. Yes.
because I was in the ER for 3 days
Yep.
and
God,
nobody
I've
could
never
visit
thought of
me,
that. But yeah,
right?
I had pretty much a 4-month one. I'm just like
Right?
isolated at home. Yeah.
You were in a fabulous retreat. Just
Yeah.
you I wasn't navel gazing, but I did definitely call on my meditation skills because I was Halloween. I was in a interesting part of Toronto in the ER for 3 days, and no one could visit me, and I was just behind a
Yeah.
cubicle curtain, and I couldn't see properly, so I couldn't do the escape into social media. I just had to lay
Yeah.
there. Like,
Oh man.
but I think that's why I say it's like steps, right? Because I had reached a point where they said she can handle this. So they put me in the hospital and they said, "Okay, Heather, are you listening?" I said, because instead of panicking, once I figured out, okay, they're not going to let me go home, I said, okay, I'm going to lay here and listen. But we
Yep.
don't often give ourselves that space, right?
Mm.
Which is, I think, what retreating is so valuable. That's why I like this retreat to rise. So, retreating to give yourself that quiet space with that community of people who are all there kind of doing the same thing, right? You
Yeah.
want to
They're
surround
all
yourself. Go ahead.
Yeah, they're looking for answers. They're probably all on a looking for a different type of answer, but they're all looking for something. And I always say that people, everybody's super nervous to come because it's like first day of school. Like, will people like me? All those jitters, and but after the first meal, everybody's fast friends. But it's easier usually to tell a stranger your deepest, darkest secrets than people in your circle because they have you in this box where they see
Right.
themselves. And so, yeah, it's so much easier than you think it's going to be. You kind of,
It's
talk
so
yourself
true.
into like,
Like, that's why people go
yeah,
and talk to bartenders, right?
yes, totally.
And when I was a massage therapist, people would spend an
Oh,
hour with me, and because you spend a lot of the time face down, not looking at the person, their face
yes.
down, they'll they'll tell you things, and I would be like heart wrenched. And when I first started, I had to find a way to keep my energy clear because, oh,
Yeah,
you can take people's stuff with you, but you
totally.
figure out a way to, like, one of my friends would see me and just come running up to me and splash water on me to clean my aura, but
Yeah.
he was hilarious. But it's true, when you go to those places, you get to be whoever it's
Yeah.
like a bigger chance to be your actual self.
Totally. And when you're getting body work, like you're offering that service, like you're in, like you carry your emotions in your body. So if you're
Yeah.
releasing things, like I have a really good friend that is an acupuncturist and massage therapist, and I always tell her she's my therapist.
Right? Yeah, even
Like I'm
yoga.
gonna, yeah,
Like, I've had people lose it in yoga. You just, like, quietly pass them a tissue and
yeah,
keep going,
hold their
right?
hand.
Because Yeah, there's, don't stop it when it's coming, because it's got to come. It's better out than in, as they say. So what
Yes.
kind of places do you do? So you've created this fabulous thing for retreats where you're
Mhm.
just like, come and find yourself. Come and
Yes.
like spend some time with yourself, which
Yep.
everybody in podcast land knows. I'm like, take care of yourself. Where do you like to
Love that.
go?
We've mostly been going international lately. Europe. We did go to Banff one year.
Cool.
Beautiful. But we're lucky in that we have a lot of ladies that come on every year, and so we
Wow.
haven't been repeating locations a lot. We did go to Costa Rica 4 years in a row by the Arno volcano. I just was in this little village, and we used all the townspeople, and it was just there's a family that is still in the national park because they've been there for like years and years before it was the national park. So we would just
Wow.
take local farmers' horses to his property and hike these waterfalls where no one else was. And I try to find things that are like more bespoke or unique that aren't just tourist traps. We definitely go see the sites. I mean, we went to Isle of Skye in Scotland, and it's a tourist trap for a
It's
reason. It's
beautiful,
breathtakingly beautiful.
right?
So, but yeah, I try to push everybody out of their comfort zone a little. I think that's where the magic happens. It makes you a little more confident, a little more resilient, and just kind of thinking bigger. But we also, as women, we wear so many hats. And so I think it's a, it almost takes practice to be able to tune in and decide what you need in each moment, because I believe wellness looks different for everybody, and then for me different on a minute to minute basis.
Right.
And so I always encourage everybody to choose their own adventure. Like if you want to take a nap and that's what your body needs in that moment, then you should skip yoga. We've never had anybody skip a meal because we have a really great private chef, but if you want to skip an excursion, we try to do half day excursions so everybody has downtime. We do yoga daily. We do journal questions to get you thinking about what it is you really want out of life. Are there things that you can take from this experience and incorporate it into your daily life to make it, more where you're actually taking care of yourself when you get home?
Right.
We have everybody introduce themselves when we get there, and people usually introduce themselves based on their roles and responsibilities. And so we let everybody do that, but then I make everybody go around the second time and just say 3 things they love about themselves.
Wow, that's
Because
cool.
we're just beings, we don't have to get any of our self-worth from the things we do or the people we care for. So
Yeah.
we're worthy
It's
of love
interesting. I
just
was
for being here.
listening. Yeah, I was listening to, oh my gosh, I can't remember what this was, but somebody was talking about the need to be anchored. People feel this need to be anchored in something, and it can be family. She was using a journal, like, I remember it was the Stress Less lady, Stress Less Blueprint.
Okay.
She has like 10 questions that she answers every single morning to help herself kind of anchor in. And I think people use their jobs as some kind of anchor, or if they're not their jobs,
Yeah.
like their families, like they've got something to say, this is who I am. So they feel secure in a space or a time.
Yeah.
Where a friend of mine is a nomad, and she and her husband travel. And I was like, wow, I wonder what she anchors to. So I haven't had that conversation with her yet, but it's interesting that people use their jobs so often, or their external tasks, to anchor themselves down instead of, I'm on the planet. Dun,
Yep.
da,
Yep.
That's pretty good
Like
anchor.
anything internal. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. It's like I've
You
been
can find,
practicing this grounding every morning with, I can't remember the guy's name. He's on Mind Valley. I'll look it up. And it's like
okay.
practicing sending your grounding tube down and then making it bigger. He said, if you make it
Cool.
bigger, then you are, super solid connected to the energy of the earth. I'm like, I'm down with that.
Yeah, me too. It's a good practice.
Right. And do you find that people, like, have you ever had anybody like totally lose their shit?
I did have a lady quit her job before she got home. That's probably
Wow.
been like the biggest.
But
She's
that's
just
so
like,
good,
no, I'm talking myself into staying, and I'm done. I've had enough space and clarity.
right?
And she did. She quit a couple of days before the retreat ended. So
That's amazing. Do you know
yeah.
if she still stayed out of it?
She did pursue a different path, just tried something completely different, and she actually worked at a floral shop. She worked in corporate like marketing, and she just did a couple side gigs. She's older and didn't have to rely on income for, the security that you were
Right.
mentioning earlier. So
Yeah.
she had a little flexibility, but she still had some adult kids in college and things that they were supporting. So she had this time frame of when she thought she would have to like figure something out. So anyways, she just like did some creative like she worked at a floral shop, like I said, and I can't remember what the other one. I think she like poured champagne at a champagne bar for a while,
Oh
and
my
then
God,
like
that would
did
be
some fun
fun.
stuff like that. Yeah.
So every now
So
and then, when I think that I want to add on like another thing to the things that I do, I think about you have Michael's in the States, right? Michael's, the
yes,
craft store. I'm like, I'm going to go work at Michael's
yeah. I
because
know,
I
just
shop
for
there
the
so much
thrill of it,
anyway,
right?
right? Just for the fun of it.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
when I was so I went from being a corporate financial executive, like I was a senior director, and I went back to school for 2 years to become a massage therapist. And while I was doing that, I became a waitress at the Keg Steakhouse, and it was like just for fun.
Yeah. Honestly,
And
being a waitress or a bartender is like a life lesson in just people,
it
like
is,
managing people, like any career you go forward with in the future, just hospitality in general, you'll be
yeah,
fine.
yeah, yeah. It was very entertaining. It was very entertaining, and people would get. I mean, people got. I understand it's a stressful job sometimes, but I think because of coming from corporate, it was just like, yeah, I'm actually fine.
Yeah.
So it's
No.
all good,
I also think the older you get, the more you're like, this isn't life and death. This is fine.
right? Yeah,
Like the way you react is only going to make it better or worse. So
yeah,
you have control
exactly.
over that. And
So
yeah.
I know you don't run just your own retreats,
Yeah. I so actually during 2020, so I started in 2018, and like for the first few years, people asked me frequently, like, would I ever plan other people's? And initially I was like, no, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm still figuring it out. I don't know what that would look like. Um, whatever. And so when I had to cancel all my events, I'm like, okay, I have space now. The universe has given me this, opportunity. So I created a digital course, how to build and plan your own profitable retreat. And I have quite a few. It's a done with you type of thing where I do office hours and then do like a long Zoom when they're done through all the modules, because I really want them to feel confident and not have any lingering questions. But I have a lot of clients that, a lot of different fields, like so many, like actress, psychic medium, food photographer. I mean, there's just so many walks of life that a retreat makes sense for. And so a lot of
right?
these entrepreneurs have existing businesses, and they want either a in-person event or just a larger offering that they don't have yet. And the retreat is usually what they end up doing. And so almost all of these, they're mostly women. They know what content they're passionate about and want to share, and they don't want to do any of the other stuff. They don't want to figure out the budget or the logistics, and those
Right.
are like kind of my favorite parts. So we,
And that's why you hire people.
um,
Like as an entrepreneur, one of the first things they tell you as a solopreneur is to get a VA to take those
yeah,
tasks off so you can do the things you love. You know, my next thing is to get a podcast manager so that I
yeah,
can talk to the amazing people, but I don't have to do all the other stuff, which
yeah. And
I
there's
find
always
quite,
so many other parts, right? Like people
yeah,
don't realize like the thing that you enjoy, like the hosting of retreats, is like the thing I do 10% of running a business. You know what I mean? The 90% of like what takes up the most of your time is so many other just little
the
tasks that,
planning, the emails, the
yeah,
putting out fires.
Bookkeeping, right? I mean,
Right?
you're
Yeah.
like a graphic designer and a web developer and a CPA and just a lot of
Yeah.
hats.
And yeah, solopreneurs, I feel like someday there's going to be a solopreneur like community. Maybe there'll be multiple ones. Like there'll be one for each group. It's like we're all going to get together. I'm good at this. I'll do this part. You do that part. And we'll
Yes.
all run our own businesses, but I'll do the parts you don't like that I like, and you do the parts that I don't
Yeah.
like. Wouldn't that be cool?
That would be amazing. That would be the best collective. I'd pay a lot of money to be a part of it and then be like, I can do this. I'll
Well, and the
show
funny
up with
thing
three
is, would
things.
you, right? You wouldn't even really necessarily have to pay a lot for it because you're doing somebody's
Be a
job, and
trade.
it'd be like a
Totally.
tradesies. Maybe you like, oh my God, we could totally figure this out. You could like
All right.
how many hours you do, you collect up tokens, and then you can spend the tokens on the person you need to do something else for you.
I'm 100% in. Yes, my wheels are spinning.
Oh my God. So I got to warn you, I'm an ideas doula, which means I can birth,
Ooh.
I birth ideas like mad, but I can't raise them all. So I birth
Yes.
them,
Yes.
I
That
birth
makes
them and
sense.
I give them to somebody to raise. I'm like,
It's
I
a
can
great
help you.
idea.
I can help you figure out how to nurture that child, but too many
Now it's
babies.
yours. Yeah.
Yeah. I do that a lot. Oh my goodness. Imagine if I could
Cool.
be paid to be an ideas person. Wow, that'd be
I
cool.
think you could. I'm sure there's plenty of people out there that are.
Right?
One of the main things too of me changing careers is I had an epiphany of if I've had more success than I ever thought I would in something I am not jazzed about, what would
right?
happen if I was? People never consider the alternative of
Yeah.
if you're wildly passionate about it, why wouldn't it be successful?
That's how I ended up where I am because I was actually at a writing retreat and this woman was a lawyer, this workshop I was in, and she had retired from being a lawyer. She was a really good lawyer. She had retired from being a lawyer because she didn't like it. She liked writing. And now she was like this really amazing author. And that was what she said. She said, if I was this good being an author or a lawyer, imagine how good I could be as a writer. I'm like, huh, really?
Yeah.
So it makes your mind start thinking of something different. Of you aren't stuck where you are.
No.
You can
have a
do
lot of
totally different.
power.
Yeah.
There's a lot of power in quitting the things that don't serve you. It opens doors to new opportunities.
Right?
Yeah.
How many people are usually on your retreats, like in general?
Normally 10 to 12. I have two co-hosts that have been on, I think I've done 22 retreats now, and both we're best friends now. One of them's a chef and one's a photographer, and we do these. She's a portrait photographer. And initially we thought if people wanted to unplug and not have their phone on them or anything, then you could still get landscape or photos of you in beautiful landscapes without having to drag your phone along and be on. But we started buying these flying dresses. We saw them online. Like you saying, just maybe taking people's ideas. We found it in the travel group on Facebook, and it takes a village. It's like this whole community building experience because these trains are so long, and if you get a big gust of wind, it almost turns into a parachute. And so people have to hold them, and then she shoots whoever's in them, and then we switch people in and out of the dresses. And we had a woman that went to Sicily with us that was a seamstress, and she took them all home and made them so they're all one size fits all. They're elastic now.
Oh, stretchy.
So you can tie everybody in them. So yeah.
That's cool.
So anyways, we have 3 hosts, and sometimes we'll have a body worker. It depends on where we're at or if we'll just hire someone local. But I never want there to be more than 3 or 4 guests to one host because I like to be able to talk to everybody. I like it to feel a little more intimate and vulnerable and not like a loud, bachelor party with 40 people or something,
And it's harder to slow down enough to tune in if there's a lot of people. I've been on bigger, smaller type retreats, yoga retreats, painting retreats, and the more people you have, the more it's like you feel, or maybe this is just me, but the more you might kind of feel like you still have to be on in some way.
Yes.
just
Yes.
being whoever.
Yep. And I
Right.
think that like there's just less space to have downtime when you do have a large group, right? Because the common spaces are kind of littered with extra guests and things. So I like to keep it small. I like to just more fun and
Right.
just fit my vibe better, I guess.
Yeah. I'm just thinking like the kayaking trips that I've done, the maximum we take is 10 people. And there's 2 guides and a chef and sometimes a sous chef. And that's
So that's a great.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
plenty. It's plenty. And it's like we were talking earlier, it's hard work. Like
It's
it's
hard
very
work.
glamorous. It is hard work to be the host on those things. But you meet
Yeah.
such amazing people and you have such amazing
Yeah.
experiences. That's what makes it worthwhile, right?
Totally. The people,
Yeah.
they're just at the end of the week, people just are overwhelmed with gratitude of like having the space to do that for a week, having met new friends. I've had multiple women say they've never been taken care of like that in their lives, and some of these ladies are in their 60s or 70s, and
Right.
just very grateful to that these are a thing, and that makes, because I am always tired by the end of the week, but it makes me want to do it again.
Yeah.
Like my heart always feels like it's going to explode when just like being able to say goodbye and having those kind of send-offs is really, really
Right.
wonderful.
I totally know what you're talking about. You're
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm so tired. I love you so much.
Yep. I'm gonna miss
Yeah.
you so much, but also I need to go take a nap.
Yeah, exactly. And where do they find you?
So initially I didn't even have a like personal IG or Facebook account when I started, and I just, left a very different field. So I social media for sure, but back in the day, and that's not that long ago, 6 years ago, I blogged a lot. To try to like share and connect with people that was still sort of on the tail end when those were a thing. And just shared really vulnerable like parts of me switching careers and changing who I was and pursuing things that scared me. That sort of opened the door for, because I say and you might experience this as well, but like I always say you have to convince them that you're not a serial killer because you spend the night together the first night you meet. And so there's just an extra layer to your sale. And that's a little bit harder than like my husband that does landscaping. He just, fixes up their yard and never goes in their house, like
Even
whatever.
though he's got weapons of destruction,
Yes,
you're bringing a yoga mat. He's bringing like shears.
Yeah. Just feels like a little bit harder sell to most people for some reason. But
Yeah.
anyways, so I did that a lot and then tried to just build a newsletter list, and I started hosting locally, just like a few hours up north. Northern Michigan's beautiful. And just tried to start small. I hate doing things small, but I tried to be
Mindful, let it grow.
Mindful of that. And like, they always say to tier your offer. Yeah. So it's like a long weekend, not very far away, to, 7 days in Ireland or whatever is very different. So, yeah.
And is it on your website, the blog? Is it on your website?
Yeah, my blog's still there. I haven't blogged in forever. I now just write newsletters, but
then if they want to see trips you've got coming, those are on your website.
Retreats are on there. Planning services, if you need help with your retreat, there's tab for everything.
And I wrote down retreats that don't suck. What was that again?
Yeah, my website is yourwanderingers.com, but I always just, for these, it's easier to remember retreatsthatdon'tsuck.com. Right. We're very sarcastic. We like to have fun. We laugh a lot. And I was like, I'm going to make it funny. It's going to be fine.
Well, there's enough seriousness in the world. We have to bring levity. Yes. Otherwise, we'll all be staying in the jobs we don't like, unhappy, and who wants to do that?
Right? Totally agree.
So, my friend, we're going to retreat to rise. So this is going to be fabulous. And I've been on multiple retreats over the years, and I've run some, and I think that if you've never been on one, everybody should go and take one. Even if you're not feeling like you need to change your life, just go and
just
be quiet.
Something will come up. Yeah.
You'll have some like realization.
Yeah, just take a local one that's nearby for like Thursday to Sunday. Like just dip your toe in and see how it goes.
And it doesn't. Don't be scared.
Grateful.
Yeah, don't be scared that it means you're going to quit your job, get divorced, and move to another country. Right.
I mean, maybe if that's what you need, but yeah, not a guarantee.
Yeah. Don't be scared, because you actually get to decide, right?
Yep.
So I always leave the guests with the last word of wisdom. So do you?
Okay. Something a dear friend of mine said, like the first year I started my business, I was at a low. He asked me if I was making the same mistakes. And I said, no, actually I'm not. And he said, then you're doing it right. And I actually carry that with me for just life/business/whatever. Life is just trying things, seeing how it goes. And if it doesn't work out the way you wanted it to, it means you now have more information to do it differently, or quit if it doesn't serve you. There's nothing wrong with that. So
I'm writing that down.
Yeah, if you're not making the same mistakes, you're doing it right.
Is that a dog?
Is it what? My dog.
Around?
Things are melting down over here, Heather. I thought that we were going to be right in the middle of nap time. I have 2 puppies, and there's one that's just a little bit of she's the boss. She's a tiny jerk.
That's okay. I call this real life, because I've had kids come in, I've had dogs come in, I've had fire alarms, you name it. I'm cool. I'm down.
They're usually like, because they're short, you can't see them unless they like jump up on this chair, and then I just kind of go like this. But when the barking starts, I'm like, oh God.
Well, that's okay. I love dogs. Remember, I was going to be a veterinarian when I was a kid. So,
well,
thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with the world and what you're doing, because I really think that for some people, retreating is the only way they're going to be able to like have some downtime to get their head clear.
Truly check in.
Yeah, very check in. So friends in podcast land, go and check out Retreats That Don't Suck and Wandering Roots, and let yourself wander a little bit. I mean, nothing bad is going to happen, right? Nothing bad will happen. And share this with someone that you know needs to get away for a little while, right? Thanks so much, Anna.
Thank you for having me. This is so much fun.
Yeah, super amazing. Friends in podcast land, catch you next time. Take care. Hello, my friend. I hope you enjoyed that episode. And if you found it useful and you're like me and you want to help others, please share this, comment, like, subscribe, all of those things that will help this podcast to be found by more people. And if you found it useful, there's a chance that someone else will find it useful as well. If you ever have any questions, I am here to answer your questions. I would love to help you. My direct email address is info@heatherstewart.coach. You can also find me at heatherstewart.coach. And if you go over to my website, you will find copies of the podcast. You'll find the link to my Instagram and my Facebook. And I do have a personal request, because I do want to help as many people as I can with these podcasts. So if you could give me a review, and my friend, I would love if you gave me a good one. If you could share this, if you could send it out into the world, I would truly appreciate it. I hope that you have an amazing day. I hope that you are finding your way back to wellness by getting back to me. Take care, my friend. Be well, and we will see you again next time.